Welcome to SwarmCast, the marketing hive for pest control pros from coast to coast. If you're tired of your competition bugging you and want to grow your business like a well-built colony, you're in the right place. Each episode, we'll break down the latest marketing trends, expert insights, and proven strategies to help you exterminate the competition and keep your phones buzzing. So strap in, pest bosses. It's time to swarm the market and take your business to the next level. This is SwarmCast.
Welcome to SwarmCast. My name is Wyatt Chambers, and we have a special guest today, Adam Holt, BCE, PestSense industry advisor, board-certified entomologist, TikTok influencer, expert pest control consultant, not to mention a ton of other talents that we're going to talk about on this podcast. Welcome to the SwarmCast, Adam.
Thank you so much, Wyatt, for having me. I'm super excited to be here, and I can't wait to get this ball rolling.
We are here live with Adam, and he is going to talk about Dat Bug, his new consulting business. Not that he's new to this consulting stuff, but we're here to talk to him about all things pest control. So, Adam, welcome to the SwarmCast. Go ahead and let us know what you're doing out there in Hawaii.
Awesome sauce. Thanks for having me. I appreciate you, Wyatt. This is the shaka for anybody who's not familiar with that from Hawaii. So I tell my kids, my 8th graders, that the radius comes down here, the ulna comes down here. So if you put the radius and the ulna together, you got the shaka. There you go.
I had a T-shirt with like double of these, which it said "hang loose." So I'm not sure what the difference is.
Probably, I would say a lot of correlation there. But yeah, so I've been out here now since July of last year. So what is that, about 7 months? And what got us here was an interesting thing. My wife's a tarot card reader, so she did a vision board. And I know that some people don't believe in that, and that's not even the whole point of this. But the interesting thing is that the vision board included Hawaii, and 2 weeks later, I got a phone call for an interview for a job that I've never applied for. So that's what got us here. That's how I am a science teacher right now. And so, I mean, that could just be who knows what. But anyway, as far as my consulting business goes, I just started that recently. I was able to, secure a really nice contract over back on the mainland. And, it kind of gave me insight between that and working with PestSense. It just gave me insight that I think I can really kind of get this, consulting business going full time. As far as like, what does that involve? I mean, with 25 years in the pest control industry, and me being in so many different, careers that I've had throughout history. I mean, I started in Florida. I've lived now in 6 states in the past 8 years. I've gone all over the entire country. So from Florida to Colorado to Michigan to Northern California to Philadelphia to Southern California over to Hawaii. So a lot of different places. And then that's given me the unique opportunity to work for some of the big players like Terminix as a regional technical director, Advanced IPM as a regional technical director, as their technical director, Innovative Pest Solutions as their director of operations. These are all, PCT top 100 companies working for different pest control softwares like Serve Suite, which I think moved over to Service Titan, which I think is now Pest Routes, if I'm not mistaken. So it's done a lot of changing, but I've also worked for Real Green, which was the lawn care software company that then got sold to Pest Pack. And so, got to do a lot with that. When I was with Advanced IPM, I worked with a software called Clipboard. I've worked with so many softwares now, and I feel like I've done so much between the commercial and residential, pieces of pest control and working for Douglas Products on the on the fumigation side, then working for Amguard Products on the manufacturing side. And so I've got to, work with, I feel like all facets of, the operations, the auditing stuff, like all of the above. And so I think I just try to encourage people that, I'm that kind of person you can take advantage of, right? You can come to me if you want me to just come into your company and do a bird's eye overview. I can help you out with that from a P&L standpoint to a software evaluation.
Yeah. I mean, 25 years of experience working in those industries, not to mention, you didn't talk about being an entomologist. What's that all about? How long have you been an entomologist?
I've been an entomologist my whole life. So I got lucky enough to do my undergrad and my master's degree in entomology from the University of Florida. It's stamped right there on my arm. And so I got my board certified entomologist certification, I think back in 2011. I have Terminex to thank for that because they made me do it. And I'm forever grateful. It's been a blessing, a blessing the whole way. And so I only think there's probably a handful of us that actually have that board certified entomologist certification. And so, it makes me to be a unique person in that way. And more of the industry is actually going towards having people on retainer or staff that have that certification. The ACE is another certification you can get, which is below the BCE. And it's a great certification, but it doesn't even come close to equaling what a board certified entomologist has, because to even be a board certified entomologist, you have to have your undergraduate degree in entomology or a related field. If you want to become an associate certified entomologist, you can do that by having, I think, 7 years in the industry and then taking an exam.
Wow. Well, it seems like a long journey, and I'm glad that you gave thanks to probably who helped pay for it, right? Or encouraged you to go down that route. And
Right.
no doubt, here you are, named Dat Bug, which isn't an education. I mean, how did you come up with that name? I liked it. It rolled right off the tongue when I said it the first time. How did you come up with that name?
So originally I wanted name that bug, T as in Tom. And so I was like, name that bug, right? Whenever I started TikTok back in 2020 because of my wife, and I started making 60-second science lessons for kids during COVID. And that kind of took off a little bit. And so I went to do my website and do all my hashtags and all my names. And you want to keep everything cohesive, right? And so I went to do name that bug, and I was like, man, that's already taken. So then I was like, all right, so every time somebody does like that, they change that to dat with a D. So I was like, name dat bug became name that bug became name dat bug.
I think it was great. I mean, when I saw it, I was like, yeah, that's fantastic. Tell me about, 500,000 followers there. I mean, were you expecting that, or did it just happen pretty quick? I mean, tell me about that journey a little bit.
That journey has been since, I think, 2020, so almost 5 years. And that started out extremely slow, just like anybody else would if they went on to any social media profile and, created their profile and started posting videos and stuff. And so I posted, my first video I posted was a body lice that I got from a client when I worked for Advanced IPM. And a commercial client. Let me make sure I make that clear. So not an actual like residential client. And that happens. We know that happens. But I posted that video and that went semi-viral. I think like 150,000 views. Nothing super special. And then fast forward, I don't know, maybe a year or so later, I posted a duet. A duet is where you basically you do a video next to a video. So I posted a duet of a video of this person that was removing a tick from their leg, but they were using dental floss.
Wow.
And so they did this thing where they basically tied the dental floss around the base of the tick, and then they twisted the dental floss up. And when they let it go, it popped the tick out because ticks have retroursed teeth, right? So their teeth are backwards. So basically, whenever you're trying to remove a tick, you have to turn that hypostome 180 degrees to 360 degrees to get those teeth to go back into the hypostome and release out.
Oh, wow.
And so I was explaining that whole thing, and that one was my first video that went super viral and hit about 10 million views.
Wow.
And so what's interesting is anytime you get a video that goes viral on social media, there's a good chance if you keep posting after that video goes viral, you'll have more videos go viral. And I mean, like, I remember Wyatt, like days where literally for like a month, I was getting about 3,000 to 5,000 new followers a day.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's pretty impressive. Now, we experienced the same thing. And for pest control owners that are watching this, or people that are, trying to develop a social media following, that's exactly what happened. We helped a company called Animal Experts. I'm not sure if you know those guys, but they had a show on National Geographic. Okay.
Okay.
And we posted a video, didn't go viral. And then all of a sudden we posted it later, and it ended up just picking up this momentum. Next thing you know, 23 million views.
Wow.
Their channel is now monetized. They are making money on that channel. And just like you described it, keep the fire going. Go back, post more content. Their subscribers went up. And, that makes the customer really happy. That was with our Swarm Pest Control marketing, where now our customers making money from their social media. Now, that's not common. And as you know, viral, there's no, there are some things you can do to try to get that. This one happened to be a pygmy owl. This little
Yeah.
owl, everybody just loved it, and it's called Sassy Owl. And what was cool is it hit all these news outlets like Forbes, even that pick it up, and the local news channel. It was neat, man, to see and kind of go through that. But don't be amazed if you actually have been working on TikTok or YouTube or some of these other Facebook Reels, that kind of thing. That yeah, you could post something that could go viral. It could definitely do that. So that's cool.
I encourage people, if they have a company and they're not utilizing or taking advantage of social media, 100% either do it or reach out to me and let me help you. You know what I mean? Because it's like one of those two ways, right? But I'm like, if you want to do it, do it. If you need help doing it, let me help you. But there is actually some strategy to it, right? It's not like you just sit there and, throw a post out and then all of a sudden it goes viral. I've worked with a lot of other clients in the past where I'm like, you got to put out 2 to 3 posts a day. You want to keep the consistency. You want to make sure the videos aren't too long. You want to make sure you're using some sort of viral music with it, that's actually like already up on the list of that. Because whenever you go to add the music, you can see like how many actual like clicks that music has had. You want to make sure you're adding the right hashtags. That's important as well, right? And so there's a lot of things that are lucratively important whenever you're posting social media. And then you want to cross post. You want to post to YouTube, LinkedIn, TikTok, Facebook, Instagram, wherever you want to do that. Now there's like Lemon8, there's Red Note. There's so many different ones you can be a part of. And just like you said, with TikTok, you have to get to 1,000 followers to go live. Then you have to get to 10,000 followers to monetize. Once you get to that 10,000 follower point and you've had so many views on your videos, you can then apply to become a creator. You can apply to become part of that creator program. And then once you do that, just like you said, you can monetize, you can get brand deals, you can do all kinds of stuff. I mean, I get free stuff all the time. I get over it. I'm tired of getting free stuff.
Well,
Go ahead. Sorry.
No, I was going to just mention it, right along those lines. There's people like to read books, right? Figure stuff out or watch YouTube videos. I'm going to give a shout out to Daryl Ives. I met him earlier last year in Mexico. He's like the mentor for Mr. Beast. And for most people that don't know who Mr. Beast is, he's the social media. He's there, right? He's at the top of the food chain. Daryl Ives has a book out called The YouTube Formula, and he just released his second book that's coming out too. Great for people that are utilizing social media to push their brands. You can do it all organically on YouTube. You can do it like how much money do you spend on TikTok? You can do it organically there too.
I do everything organic. I've never spent any money on marketing. It's just been pure organic, and then networking as well. I can't tell you how many people that I've met in other countries that now I network with because of TikTok. Like there's a guy called Dat Pest Control, DAPP. And I don't know if you saw his video, but it went viral several years ago where he actually does pest control. The video is of him all masked up, and he opens up this lady's bathroom, and it's the largest recorded wasp nest in history.
Oh, wow.
And it was all over the news. I mean, it literally takes up her entire bathroom from like the ceiling all the way to the floor.
Wow.
It's crazy, but I'm like, I connected with him. Now we're pretty close friends. I've connected with other pest control companies, even across the country. Reach out to them when you see stuff go viral. It's a cool way to network,
Absolutely. 100%. One of the reasons that we're talking is I saw your profile, you saw mine. Next thing you know, we're talking and we just hit it off. And it really is a testament to LinkedIn. I think we met through LinkedIn actually. So
yeah,
you never know where it can go. Definitely a big part of growing any business. And to anybody kind of listening in on this channel through the SwarmCast, even if you're trying to build your PCO, that's mainly our target market or people that we're talking to as PCO owners, is why would they spend their time doing that? Well, a big piece is business to business interactions. As far as your network is your net worth. So how are you building that? In the past, people spend a lot of time maybe in these local groups, but here we have LinkedIn, which is international. Be amazed at some of the connections that you can make by just spending a little bit of time each day on LinkedIn, or if you're using other outlets to push out your social media.
Another free marketing tool, technically. Right? There's so many free marketing tools. And then you bring up a good point. I mean, I don't know what software do you own a pest control company, right?
Yeah, we own a couple of them. And then I own a digital marketing agency called Swarm Pest Control Marketing. That's correct.
So what software do you use for your pest control? If you don't mind me asking, are you allowed to say?
No, we can. We use Field Routes right now. That's one of the companies use Field Routes. The other one we use Gorilla Desk, and there's some other ones out there that we have used in the past.
Okay, and so I know you have your own marketing thing, but a lot of PCOs don't realize that a lot of the pest control softwares they utilize have their own built-in marketing modules.
That's right.
And I'm like, I encourage people, like when I was with Innovative, we used FieldWorks. That's the FieldWork HQ website. And so I didn't even realize I had a marketing module. They told me about it and I used it. And man, it was so powerful and it was so easy to use.
Yeah, it's a great tip. I think most companies that are running software, they don't even know what kind of powerful either APIs that can do outbound and tie into other hooks into other software, or how they can get access to their data to do email marketing, something as simple as that, or now SMS marketing. A big piece of our push this year is how can you use AI to further your pest control business? And that's huge right now. As far as, well, what happens if you put a quote out there and no one decided to follow up on it on your organization? What if it did an outbound SMS and scheduled an appointment? Well, that technology is there.
Right.
It may not be in your current software that you're running your company on, but there are bolts and hooks in the technology out there that already does those kind of things.
Agreed.
So definitely bringing that kind of knowledge and interaction to the pest control industry is awesome. Just saying, hey, these things exist. Like one of the tools I was sharing in the mastermind group was along the lines of, hey, did you know that the biggest return on investment with AI right now in pest control is automation? Think about it. People cost money. And if you can automate some tasks, like scheduling visits, you can do it. Well, how do you do that? Those are the things I want to focus in on in training and teaching and bringing these pest control owners up to speed that maybe they're not utilizing that technology. Maybe they didn't have any training on it. You were going to say something there, Adam.
Well, you were making me think about something and I'm like, I love AI. I use it all the time. It's fun. I just have to employ people and empower people to be careful about it, right? Like if you're going to use AI, you still need to check what comes out of the AI generated software. And the only reason I even say this is because the other day I was on LinkedIn and this guy, I'm not going to name his name right now, but he was on there and he put a link, and you might have seen it. He put a link to a quiz that his service manager put out on bugs, right? It was to identify bugs. And so me and other entomologists are taking this quiz, and I'm like taking the quiz, and I was like, that's not a smoky brown cockroach. That's an Australian cockroach. I'm like, that's not this, that's that. And so I got concerned because I'm like wondering, did he make that from like some sort of chat GPT, right? And then I guess the whole point of this is that all the information that's on the internet is put on the internet by people. And so we have to be aware that like there's a lot of accurate, good information out there, but you want to make sure you double check all the information that you're pulling from any AI generated software.
I love that point because generative AI is pulling from the data that's out there, right? And so if you're pulling garbage content, you get a garbage answer. I like using tools like Perplexity, where it tells you where that content to build this generative AI response, where did it come from? And a lot of things that I like to do is just educate people on, hey, if you're looking for a specific answer, like if that tool was used to identify what kind of cockroach it was, and say, hey, I want you to answer this question like an entomologist, and you're prefacing it before you put the question out there, you're going to get a better answer. A lot of times people won't take the time to do that, or they don't even know that you can do that.
Right.
Yeah, it's powerful if you're using Perplexity. Fact check it out. I did see that OpenAI just dropped their new tool out there to compete with the one from China. They released it 2 days ago, and one of their powerful points is, "Hey, this is more accurate than that." I'm like, wait a minute, I thought all AI was 100% accurate. Well, to your point, no, it's not. And
Correct.
so it has that fact checking built into it. Take a look at that. I think it's called Deep. Well, one was Deep Seek and one's Deep Search. I forget which one it is, but OpenAI just came out with theirs in February 2nd.
And the other option is you can always have somebody like myself, a board certified entomologist, or another board certified entomologist double check and fact check things for you. Never hurts just to have somebody check it for you.
100%. Somebody with actual experience in the field that knows what they're doing, which is fantastic. So talk to us a little bit about, okay, your new consulting gig. What are you doing? Are you going out there and looking for customers locally, or are you looking across the nation? What are you looking for?
I'm looking for across the world. I mean, I can do a lot remote, so I would be happy to do anything, anywhere for anybody. I think right now I just had this opportunity back in December kind of present itself to me. And then with that, between that and PestSense, I was like, all right, these two things are starting to turn into a potential business here. So I was like, it's kind of time to start the business at least. And then right now, I know you saw the post, which thank you so much for reposting that post for me on LinkedIn. But I did that, and I kind of
Absolutely.
just added all those check marks of things that I'm trying to bring to people's attention. I mean, it was little things for like California, right? A lot of people don't realize that 8538 or that approved materials list has to be updated anytime you add a new product. It also has to be sent out to every single customer anytime you add a new product to your arsenal. And a lot of people don't realize that. And if you fall short of that and you don't do that, you got somebody from the city, the county, or the state that comes behind you, something happens, they get a phone call. Next thing you know, they're coming after you with an NOI, a notice of intent, and they're going to fine you. And so I'm just trying to help with little things like that where I'm like, I can just help people go back and make sure they keep all those measures and those checks and balances in place. And so that was kind of part of it that kind of influenced my journey as well. But I mean, at the end of the day, I know that I'm good at what I can do, and I know that I bring a lot to the table, and I'm not just here to do one piece of the puzzle for you. I can do a lot of the different pieces of the puzzle, inside of any company for you. And then my background with the electronic remote monitoring, I'm on a patent for an ERM, I mean, I've got all this experience, and I feel like I pretty much have done every role inside of any company.
What's nice is having that technical ability. You got a lot of new players in the pest control space, and they don't know they're going to get hit with a fine.
Oh yeah.
Or they're just getting by. They're just thinking about their next paycheck, or they're building to that certain level to where they can start adding additional players. Invaluable to have a guy like Adam on your arsenal to be able to reach out to and go, hey, Adam, I really need some help. Um, this is the software I'm running. This is kind of where we're at. Is it something that you'd fly down and go over their whole operation, go out and look at their vehicles, all that stuff?
I'm willing to fly to people for sure. I mean, I'm also willing to do things remote because flying ends up costing a customer more money. You know what I mean? Because they've
Sure,
got to like foot
sure.
the bill for that. So I think there's a lot that can be done remotely. If people can give me access to their software, I'm fine signing an NDA, which I've done for plenty of customers. I don't mind that. I think most people right now, what I'm doing, even with this client out of California, is 100% remote. I haven't left my house at all. And so
Nice.
I've been able to part because I've got other people I can partner with if they need somebody physically there to come do like an inspection or something else that, they
Sure,
need done
sure,
right then and there.
sure. I mean, I think that's how I met you was through Warren Ryan, right? Warren Ryan and
Correct.
you
Well, no, I
worked
think we met on
through, yeah,
LinkedIn and then Warren was a connection.
that's how that worked out. So Warren,
Yeah.
has a lot of those things nailed in North Cal. And so
Yeah.
it's nice to have that network through the social network where you're right. You can have somebody locally that may be a hands-on kind of guy, especially with something like netting. Or one of the things that you were talking about was these Internet of Things mousetraps and where it's gone. And I know you were talking about that in the Pest Sense, I believe. That's right. I met
Correct.
these guys at Pest World.
Right.
We went and interviewed the PestSense guys, and little did I know, here you were working with these guys. Tell us about the technology and what you're working with there.
So PestSense, for anybody who's not already familiar with, like I would say, electronic remote monitoring, PestSense is what I would call one of the big players that's coming to the United States. We currently already have a lot of trials set up, but with that being said, we don't have any established, clients yet actually using the product. With that being said, and moving forward, the product itself, actually, I've never mind. They're outside. I was about to say I have one I could show you, but they're outside right now. But for anybody who wants to go check them out, it's just PestSense, like it makes sense.com. And they're one of the, it's going to be the first, as far as I'm aware of, it's going to be the first ERM that comes to the States that actually weighs the bait consumption. So if a rodent goes in and feeds on the bait, you can get true 24/7 data of the amount of bait being consumed. Where this comes into being beneficial is that you could start out using a non-tox bait, and then when you identify activity or hotspot activity, you can then switch to a tox bait. So this is not like an advertisement for BASF, but like pre-Lantra and then switch it to Cilantro, right? So you can do the non-tox and then switch to the tox, which is awesome. The other cool benefit is this device actually sits up vertically. I don't know of a lot that sit up vertically. There's a lot of them that are flat, and then obviously you put it next to the wall outside, and then a truck comes up and crushes it. So the beauty of this being vertical is it can fit in more spots. The component inside can actually come out as well. Other cool parts of the data is we actually measure the data of when it goes into the box, we can measure the data on which side it's going in, left versus right. That can be valuable data as well, right? Knowing where it's coming from, because then when you go to actually maybe do an inspection, you can be like, oh yeah, there's actually tracks over here, right? There's some sort of like fecal track over here from the rodent, so it's actually matching up with where it's coming in. And then I would say another impressive thing about the software itself is we're trying to make it a full solution software. And so you can add all of your non-smart devices to the software as well.
It's phenomenal. And these guys were out of Australia, is that right?
Correct. Yeah, they're out of Australia. They've already got established clients in Australia, New Zealand, and the UK.
Awesome. And then if memory serves me right, one of these guys came from Microsoft, was working with Microsoft, right?
I believe like a lot of the owners came from, I think we talked about Microsoft, and then I'm not exactly sure if it's Microsoft, but I know it's like a computer background thing. And so they definitely don't have the pest control background. That's why they brought on somebody like myself and other contractors out of out of other countries. And they brought us in to basically help them with that, industry advisor type experience.
A lot of technologies involved with that, especially if you're feeding that data back to a central data source where you can see trends in areas or cities or in neighborhoods. I mean, the application of this is tremendous. So very cool.
I think a lot.
Stuff.
Sorry, if I can chime in real quick. I think what a lot of
Yeah.
people ask me is like, okay, you can use Bluetooth technology like bell sensing, right? I love bell sensing; they're great. Or you could use LoRa-based technology, which is PestSense. The cost difference does exist. Bell sensing costs this much. PestSense is going to cost more, right? But the technology is different, right? I mean, bell sensing, the technician has to go on site. They have to be within 100 feet of the Bluetooth technology to get the data, right? And all bell sensing does when you're talking about the EVA rodent base station is it's a weight plate, and it lets you know whether things have come in and out of the box, right? Great data, and it's got its place. But with PestSense, we've got the bait consumption, we've got the motion sensor, we've got the left and right entrance data activity, we've got all kinds of other things. And so the reason it costs more is because there's more technology built into it. So I just want people to be aware that there's a place for all of these items. I could even see a place where both of these go together, in a specific account, but they both have their places depending on the situation. And so I always encourage people and empower people to do your research, inquire with people and find out what the opportunities are, because depending on the client, PestSense might be better or bell sensing might be better, but it also depends on if you have a situation where a client has escalations, right, and you're trying to help decrease the amount of escalations. Bell sensing is not going to do that job. You're going to need something like with true 24/7 remote monitoring.
What I like about that is you're agnostic of the technology. It's about serving the customer, right? And
Correct.
finding the right tools in the toolkit to be able to do that. I've seen that even one of the technology companies I'm involved with that uses EM, electromagnetism, to keep birds off of buildings. That in some cases it might make sense to put something up where you don't need to put a full system in. It's cost prohibitive. Be better to put a little bit of netting or a little bit of whatever to keep those birds off the building as opposed to one of our systems. So
yeah,
that's great. And I think that comes across when you're talking to the customer and you're doing the consulting and helping them come up with the best solution. So outside of helping professionals in the industry, do you go direct to customers too and provide help to them?
Do you mean like an end customer, like the pest controls customer?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I don't necessarily say I would necessarily go directly to them, but I'm going to work on doing that. And the reason I'm going to work on doing that is because I think like a good example is, let's say a public school system, right? A lot of time they've got an operations person who has zero clue about pest control, zero. And I feel like they can use somebody like me to help them kind of be that liaison between themselves and the pest control company, right? To help them make sure that they're being taken care of, because a lot of times, like, they just call and they're like, we need pest control, but they don't say, oh, I need pest control and rodent control, and I need a termite proposal. and I might need a fumigation. There's all these different things that they don't realize they might need. A good example is I worked out here at Wahiwa Middle School. Whenever I got there, literally there were walls infested with termites, right?
Wow.
And all they're doing is going to come in and treat it. And I'm like, well, it's kind of hard to come in and treat it because then we can't be around the treatment, right? For X number of hours, for X number of days. Maybe it's better to fumigation, but then maybe a fumigation is not right. And there's all these things where I hate to say this, but a lot of times, the end user calls the pest control company and trusts them when sometimes the pest control company doesn't even know what they're doing. I hate to say that, and that's no offense to anybody, but there are people that I think lack the knowledge that they need sometimes to give that full solution.
You're exactly right. You sound like Warren Ryan a little bit, where he'll go in and work with universities where they don't know if they're getting a good deal or not.
Right.
And are you talking to an account executive, or are you talking to somebody that's been tried and true like yourself in that business for decades? There's a lot of, like you said, a facilities manager is not a guy with 25 years of experience in the pest control industry. Huge, no doubt savings could be had, but also not putting down pesticides that are not needed, or a solution that doesn't need to be done. Maybe something else needs to be handled in a certain way.
Well, and you bring up a valid point, Wyatt, and this is a good example. When I started with Advanced IPM, I went in and my nickname is Hawkeye Holt for everybody, which is like, it came up because I have 20/10 vision. I can literally see things that nobody else can see. I don't know why. And so maybe that should have been the name of my company. That would have been funny. But so I was working for Advanced IPM, and I went in and immediately just started doing my software evaluation. And they were using, at the time, I think they were using PestPack. So I went into the PestPack contract, and I started looking at the bills, and I was like, why are we overpaying all this money? And the crazy part was that within 2 months, I saved them almost $25,000.
Wow.
Because they were actually being charged for licenses they weren't even using. And I was like, shame on you, PestPack, for charging them, because you know how many licenses they need. They tell you, and you were taking advantage of them. And I don't like people being taken advantage of. So that's where I can come in and help you as well.
Yeah, notorious in software, overselling stuff. You see it, with user licenses all the time. So I hear that, like, there's this technical side with software. I hear this knowledge with real world experience out in the industry. Not only past technology, but what's coming up with, like, PestSense, right? But also, I would just say just having across the country experience too. Not a lot of people move across the country in these multiple points because, what's happening in Hawaii is not happening in Arizona. We have termites, but what do they have? Little surfboards in Hawaii? I don't know.
Right.
Who knows? But that's pretty cool industry knowledge. And for a pest control operator, maybe they don't have even 5 years experience. They need help to make sure that they're keeping up to speed with the laws, regulations, technology, software. Man, having a guy like Adam in your pocket, that's huge. That's huge.
I appreciate you. Yeah. And I'm like, for the current customer I'm working with right now, it's actually the customer of a pest control client. And I'm helping them basically evaluate things, create trainings, like, spearhead, programs for them, and actually ultimately be that liaison between themselves and the pest control client. And the pest control company. And so that's what I'm going to be doing next, is I'm going to be that liaison to make sure that the pest control company they decide to use is actually implementing all the programs that I have worked to create for the customer.
Wow. So what does 2025 look like for you, Adam? I know that you're you have a lot of different skill sets. You've worked with a lot of different companies at this point. What's a perfect 2025 look like for you?
I think the perfect 2025 for me would just be to get like a decent enough clientele, to be able to not have to work 3 jobs. Like, I love my life and I love living in Hawaii. And I don't know if you can hear the wind chimes and the wind behind me, but I'm like, I got this trade winds that come in and score. I have literally all windows open right now. There's no AC on. So it's gorgeous here. I love it being here, but I would love to maybe be able to not have to do the teaching gig and just be able to focus on the business full time. That would be lovely.
Yeah, it sounds like you enjoy everything you do. I would call you contently dissatisfied. You're an entrepreneur through and through. You probably get bored easily.
Yep.
You got all these things that you like doing, and I think it stems from, if I'm hearing you correctly, you really like working with people and helping them solve their bug problems.
Yep.
For sure. Yeah. So
Yes.
one of the things that, the first call that we did that's really stuck out is, hey, you could be a tremendous resource for the Swarm Mastermind group, which we started this year. And that's one of the things that I'm looking forward to is having you on that lifeline when we need you, and also having you join that group and be a part of that. And I think that you just have a lot to offer. I think you're pretty unique. I've talked to a lot of different people in the industry, and not too many, I would say, expert profiles with so much experience in different things. So I'm glad our paths crossed for sure.
Me too. I appreciate you. I appreciate everybody. I'm blessed. I think everything happens for a reason, for sure. And so I know we came across each other's profiles for a reason, and I don't remember who reached out to who first, but it doesn't even matter. We're here where we are now. That's all that matters.
Absolutely. I think what we'll do is continue talking, keeping up these things. I'm following your feed. I'm looking, anything new comes up. We'll be chiming in on that, and I'll be bouncing things off you as well. Appreciate you coming on the SwarmCast. I wasn't sure if there was anything else you wanted to touch on before we close this up, but I think we talked about a lot of different things today. Was there anything that you wanted to talk about before we close up?
Not really. I mean, again, I just want to thank everybody for their time. If you want to reach me, I can be reached directly at 352-408-6122, or I can be reached at, you can do the name Dat Bug at gmail.com. That's an easy way to follow up with me, or I can be found on LinkedIn, all of the above. I mean, I'm here. I feel like if you ever seen that movie, Everything Everywhere All at Once, that's what I feel like I am. That's like my quote. I feel like I'm everything everywhere all at once. And so, again, I'm just blessed and happy to be a part of this journey, and hoping I can continue the journey, and hoping I can help a bunch of people out, because that's what my goal is to help everybody be the best versions of themselves.
It's awesome. Omnipresent for sure. Yeah, Adam, thanks a lot. All right.
That's a wrap on this episode of SwarmCast. Thanks for tuning in and arming yourself with the marketing firepower to keep your pest control business thriving. Before you scurry off, be sure to subscribe so you never miss an episode, and leave us a review. It helps us spread like a well-placed bait station. Got a topic you want us to tackle? Drop us a line and let's keep the conversation buzzing. Until next time, stay sharp, stay strategic, and keep swarming the market.